Welcome to Sleep with Myth. Close your eyes. Tonight we travel to Izumo, where wind once carried the voices of gods, until one night it fell silent. Wind vanished. Lanterns did not flicker. Sea did not roar. Izumo became a world held in one breath. Aoi, a shrine maiden with a red prayer ribbon, walked through muted streets. She felt footsteps through earth, not sound. When she prayed in the grand shrine, a talisman moved without wind. Written on it, Feng, Kaze wind, but incomplete. The wind was not dead, only silenced. A stranger appeared, silent, storm-shaped, voice heard only in the mind. You listen for what is missing, he told her. Wind lost its other half. Aoi vowed to find the stolen voice. Together they stepped into the night beyond sound. Sea became mirror, stars became bells without tone, and offshore stood a torii gate holding a broken talisman. If she recovered the missing stroke, wind would breathe again. Izumo waited in breathless stillness as Aoi entered the silent sea, storm spirit at her side. The night awaited with storms unborn. Aoi steps into the silent sea with the storm spirit who calls himself Kaze no Oto, the sound of wind. The water feels like nothing. No cold, no warmth, no texture. Holding them like reflection, not reality. Above, the sky is painted, frozen. The moon hangs unmoving. The horizon barely shifts as they walk toward a massive torii gate standing in the middle of the still ocean. They talk as they walk. Aoi learns that Kazunooto once spoke in thunder, when storms still had voices. Now his thunder waits inside, like the wind itself. Izumo's silence, he explains, did not just happen. People allowed it. They closed themselves to the wind, cursed the storms instead of honoring them, left words unsaid until silence swallowed even the sky. On the way, they passed through drifting particles, not dust. On the way, they passed through drifting particles, not dust, but unsaid whispers. Apologies never voiced, prayers never spoken, truths swallowed. Each is a spark of sound with no home. Aoi touches one and briefly hears a child whisper, "I'm sorry, Father." A hug that never happened. These unsaid words have been feeding something. When they reach the torii gate, they see a talisman with the same kanji as before, Feng, Kaze, but missing its final stroke. The wind's voice is incomplete. Beneath the water something stirs. From the silent sea rises a tall, thin creature made of tangled threads of whispers. The Whisper Eater. It has no real face, only a vast, echoing mouth full of half-formed sounds. It feeds on unsaid words and the silence in people's hearts. The Whisper Eater senses Aoi as someone who still tries to speak in a mute world and begins tugging at her voice, stealing her words before she can use them. Kazunooto warns her not to speak its name aloud or it will claim her. Her breath grows thin. She feels her unsaid fears and doubts pulling toward the creature. Aoi asks what the Whisper Eater fears. Kazunooto answers, "Sound that knows itself, words that do not want to be swallowed." If she speaks with clear intention, with truths she has always hidden, she can resist. She gathers her courage and, instead of hollow noise, cries out with her whole being, "Give it back!" The world itself seems to shake. The Whisper Eater stumbles, cracks forming in its woven body of stolen whispers. She continues, confessing truths she never voiced. Her anger that the wind left, her fear the gods abandoned them, her loneliness, her longing to laugh again. Each truth frees more whispers. Kaze no Odo, empowered by her defiance, begins to move like a storm again. A faint breeze returns for the first time, brushing Aoi's ear. He gathers it and flings it at the monster, tearing more threads from its form. Aoi seizes the remaining ribbons of unsaid words, names them: fear, regret, love, apology, gratitude, and in naming them, frees them. The ribbons snap and race away to their true owners. Without stolen whispers to feed on, the Whisper Eater collapses and disappears into the sea without a sound. The torii gate above them glows faintly. The talisman flutters once. A fragment of the wind's voice has been restored. Aoi can almost hear the missing stroke of the character. A small murmur returns to the world. Not yet full wind, but its first promise. Her journey is far from over. The main storm still sleeps. The true voice of Izumo's wind remains locked beyond the torii. But Aoi has awakened more than stolen words. She has begun to awaken the storm spirit himself. The night has noticed her. Aoi reaches the massive torii gate standing over the silent sea. Its talisman shows the character Feng wind, missing its final stroke. To restore the wind's voice, she must complete what was stolen. She and Kaze no Odo pass beneath the gate into a realm beyond sound, the cradle where storms sleep before they're born. Here, clouds form the ground, lightning moves without thunder, and the first faint suggestion of sound stirs like breath remembering itself. They step onto a staircase of cloud and wind, each step forming only as Aoi advances. This realm is where unsent prayers and unborn storms drift like lanterns. Below them swirls an ocean of pale cloud, alive with glowing shapes, prayers never spoken aloud. They are hopes people were too afraid to ask the gods, wishes swallowed before birth. From the cloud rises an ancient being, the keeper of unsent prayers. Its shape is robed in paper talismans, face hidden behind unpainted wood. It speaks in the voice of every wish no one ever dared to say. Where the Whisper Eater fed on unspoken words in Part 2, this entity carries grief, burden of wishes that never became sound. It challenges Aoi. Freeing stolen whispers wasn't enough. Can she give voice to the wishes she herself kept silent? Wind cannot return to those who no longer dare hope. Aoi trembles, but begins to confess the wishes she has never spoken. She admits she wanted more than duty. She wished to be brave, to be heard, to laugh again, to hear the storms, not just fear them. Her voice grows, fueled by truths she once hid, and lightning cracks silently through the sky. Her final declaration shakes the realm. I wish for the wind to return. Thunder stirs, embers of storm awaken. The keeper bows and gifts her a scroll inscribed Feng Yun, Wish of Wind. Aoi is no longer only a seeker. She has become a voice. But storms awaken. Unborn winds unfold like caged gods stretching wings. The torii behind her fades. Ahead lie tempests that must learn to speak again. The first breeze touches her cheek. The storm plane begins to wake. After Aoi's wish in Part 3, the realm of unborn storms starts moving. Clouds roll, silent lightning flickers, and the pressure in the air feels like a sky remembering how to breathe. Kazunooto, once entirely mute, starts to regain texture in his voice. It's still telepathic, but now has the faint impression of sound. The silence over him is loosening. As they walk deeper into this realm, Aoi feels tiny breezes brush by, fragile, hesitant, the first hints of real wind since Izumo fell quiet. They play with her hair and ribbon, recognizing her as the one who called them back. Kazunooto explains that wind remembers those who remember it, those who still speak and struggle even in silence. Then a vast presence forms, the wind of Izumo itself. It appears as a gigantic shifting figure made of cloud, light, eyes, and currents. This is not just one gust or one storm, but the spirit of all wind that ever moved across Izumo. When it speaks, the sound is wind inside hollow spaces, grain fields, shrine corridors, children shouting into gusts. It knows Aoi's name. It asks why she wished for its return. Aoi answers honestly, because without wind, the world feels unfinished. Wind breaks things but also brings life and courage. Without it, people lose their bravery, their willingness to face storms. She confesses that she cursed the wind for leaving, feared it, questioned it, yet kept speaking to it anyway. The wind of Izumo approves. It claims it does not belong to those who never question it, but to those who still speak, even in anger. Aoi has passed the first gate. The great wind then explains. There are 3 voices, 3 trials, 3 aspects of its name that must be called before it can fully return. 3 winds. The spring breath, gentle but transformative. The mountain gale, harsh, carving, honest. The sea tempest, vast, unpredictable, belonging to more than humans. 3 currents detach from the main body, each with its own scent and feeling. Blossoms and rain, cold rock and thin air, salt and deep water. Aoi must choose which to face first. She chooses the spring breath. It enters her like warmth. Inside, she feels all the first thaws and beginnings. Snow melting, bells ringing after winter, shutters opening, children stepping outside. Spring wants change. Not comfort only, but movement. It pushes her to speak a simple, decisive line. It is time to move again. Her words crack the cloud ground. Light plants sprout. Somewhere far away, in the real Izumo, shutters rattle and fields stir. The wind declares, first voice spoken. Next, Aoi accepts the mountain gale, sharp, cold, unforgiving. It shows her what must break when wind returns. Rotten roofs, weak trees, old grudges, stagnant structures. Change isn't only blossoming. Sometimes it's collapse. Aoi doesn't want to hurt anyone, but realizes leaving the world buried is worse. She prays for a world strong enough to survive you, and allows this wind to cut. Old dead things finally fall. Second voice spoken. Only the sea tempest remains the largest, most complex force. It contains kindness and cruelty, calm and catastrophe. To speak its part is to accept that wind is not there just to serve human needs. It belongs to sea, storm, horizon, to itself. Aoi hesitates, afraid she won't be able to hold it. Kazunooto tells her she is not meant to hold it, only to invite it. For the first time, his lips move with the hint of actual sound as he speaks. He promises to help, This is what I was born for. Together, they step toward the waiting sea tempest. Aoi enters the sea tempest, the final and most dangerous aspect of wind. It is not made of water but of emotion, risk, hunger, and memory. In this realm there is no up or down, no sound, no silence, only pressure and movement. The sea asks not with words but with fear. If the wind returns, are you willing to accept everything it brings, both joy and loss? Aoi nearly breaks. She remembers her father, who once laughed with her in the wind, and who later died in a storm. Part of her hated wind because it took him. Part of her longed for its voice. When she admits this truth aloud, the sea responds. The tempest tests her to see if she wants the wind back for comfort, or if she accepts that wind is wild, uncontrollable, never fully safe. Aoi chooses truth. She does not want a safe world, but a real one. She will ask Izumo to live with storms, not hide from them. Kaze no Oto, strengthened by her resolve, begins to regain his nature. For the first time he speaks with audible sound, not full thunder, but the first syllable of it. Lightning veins ripple through his form. He declares that the sea's test is complete. The tempest does not surrender but acknowledges him as the returning voice of storm. He is no longer only memory. He is beginning to become wind again. The wind of Izumo speaks from the sky itself, confirming that Aoi has spoken spring, survived mountain, and accepted sea. The three voices of the wind. The scroll she carries now changes. Feng Yun, wish of wind, gains a new character Ming, name. Now it reads, wish for wind's name. This means the wind can return only if its name is fully spoken, and that last stroke must be written not here in the storm plain, but in Izumo itself, by those who choose to welcome wind back into their lives. Aoi and Kaze no Oto are sent back toward the torii gate. The storm plain folds away. They return to the silent sea. But now the surface trembles. A single ripple moves outward. A faint breeze touches Aoi's skin. When she speaks to Kaze no Oto, he answers aloud, quiet, imperfect, but real. Sound is no longer impossible. The wind is coming back. They head toward the shore, determined to bring the wind home, not by force, but by invitation. If people open windows, whistle to the sky, ring bells, or speak wishes aloud, the name of the wind will complete itself. If they choose silence, the wind will remain half-born forever. The first soft splash beneath Aoi's heel marks the return journey, the first sound the sea has made since the wind disappeared. Aoi and Kaze no Oto return from the realm of unborn storms to Izumo. The city appears unchanged, still, silent, suspended. But Aoi now understands. Silence is not peace, but death without motion. The wind can return only if Izumo welcomes it. She begins walking through the town, speaking to those inside their shuttered homes. The first man she meets lost his son to the sea and has closed himself to the wind out of grief. Aoi gently reminds him that wind carried his voice and love across the waves. Slowly he opens his window, the first door of invitation. At the wharf, an old woman mending nets admits she misses the salt smell of storms and the life they once brought. She whistles, a single clear sound that breaks still air. The sea answers with one ripple. Two voices now open. Aoi climbs to the shrine roof and calls to Izumo. Windows slide open. Children lean out. Sailors, farmers, elders gather. She tells them the wind waits to return, but cannot come unless they name it willingly. Hesitation, fear, memory of storms. Then one voice whispers Kaze, then another, then many. The final stroke of the scroll writes itself in silver fire. Feng Sung, wind with a voice. Wind roars into Izumo like rebirth. Lanterns blaze, bells ring, kites leap. Trees bow, petals scatter. Laughter returns. The silence that consumed the city breaks like old ice. Kaze no Odo becomes whole, thunder-voiced, storm-formed, no longer memory but presence. He promises to stay as long as Izumo remembers to breathe, to speak, to wish. Aoi, standing in the heart of wind she summoned, laughs without fear. Her voice rises like a songbird into night, and the wind carries it. The world breathes again.